welcome back to another Halloween makeup video. So this one's gonna be a kind of addition to any monster makeup, zombie makeup, or if you want to just freak out some people, this one's gonna be really fun to do that with. So I'm gonna start off measuring out a base with some spirit gum, just making a circle around my hand where the bones are gonna be protruding out of. And in hindsight, I would have measured out first where the tendons are gonna be laying because this ended up being just a little bit too big. But that's okay because special effects makeup doesn't have to be exactly perfect. You can always mess around with it and, you know, kind of get it just where you want it to be. But yeah, I would have measured it out first. So moving along, I'm going to use my Artex from Crayon Cosmetics. And with this, you do need to use equal parts with it. And you want to make sure that your tool is clean before you dip into each of these jars, because you don't want to mix them together because they will harden and you will ruin this product. So you want to make sure that your tools are clean. So what I'm doing is I'm using equal parts of the A and B components and I'm mixing them together on my mixing plate. And while the spirit gum is getting tacky on my hand, I'm mixing these two components together. And I'm going to layer that on top of the spirit gum when it gets tacky. And this is going to be used as the part of my skin that has been kind of burned up and messed up, the messed up part of my skin where the tendons are going to be protruding out of. So you want to make sure that you work with this stuff in a timely manner because it does harden pretty quickly. And once I get it to where I want it to be, just about where I want my skin to look kind of burned and kind of messed up, I'm going to take some Vaseline. And what the Vaseline is going to do is it's going to give some slip to my tool, so that way the Artex doesn't lift up when I'm molding it. And I'm just going to put that just a little bit, not too much, on the edge of my tool. And I'm going to press down on the edges of the Artex, and that's gonna help blend in the edges into my skin, so that way there's not a definite start and finish to the Artex and with my skin, and it'll blend in really nicely and you can't tell where the start of the Artex is and where my skin is. That same concept, I'm taking the pointier edge of my tool and I'm just kind of digging into the Artex right here and lifting up that skin so that it looks like I have my skin lifted up there, and that gives me some dimension. Okay, once I have set everything down into my skin, I'm just going to mattify it with a translucent powder. And this is just going to help all the Vaseline and all the oils kind of mattify and set down into place, so that way when I go over it with color, it's just going to help everything go on a whole lot easier. And I'm just going to take a cream concealer, and I'm going to go over that with this color that basically matches my skin tone as much as possible. And I'm going to go over all the Artex with that color, so that way it looks more or less like my skin tone. And it doesn't need to be perfect because I'm going to go over this with red anyway, but I just want to make sure that it looks more or less like my skin. It makes it look a little bit more realistic. So now we're going to make the real meatiness of the inside of the wound. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a good layer of liquid latex with a cosmetic sponge, and you're going to put a good 8 to 10 layers of this. So you're going to start off with the liquid latex, give it a good sticky layer of that all in the inside of the wound. And then you're going to take cotton from, you can use either cotton rounds or just regular cotton balls, and you're going to layer that, just stick that inside the wound as I'm doing right here. And just let the cotton just kind of stick in there. You can pull it apart too. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. The messier it is, the better. You want it to be really meaty and really gross and really sticky. So just really layer it in there. And I did this about 8 to 10 times. So be patient with it, and you can really get it as meaty and layery as you want it to be. So really pack it in there. Okay, so for the tendons, I took some regular Q-tips and I just cut off the cotton ends from them. And to keep them from not looking so bone white, because your bones really wouldn't be so white anyway, I just took some more concealer from that cream concealer that I used before, and I just covered it. And again, in hindsight, you really don't need to do this anyway because I ended up covering them with blood. But I just covered them. With a little bit of concealer so that way they wouldn't be so bone white. And to stick them on, I doused them with a little bit of spirit gum. And when I say a little, I always mean a lot. When I'm doing special effects, I always mean a lot. And I took my tweezers and I flexed my hand so you could see the tendons, exactly where my tendons were, because I wanted to look more realistic. I wanted to be exactly where my tendons were sticking out from. And I just pressed them right onto where the tendons would be. And if you look at your hand, guys, your tendons don't go straight across or straight down. They kind of come to a point. So that's where I pressed them, and that's where I laid them on my hand. So I needed to cover the ends of the Q-tips because they kind of stick out a little bit, and this is where I noticed that I made the base of the circle a little bit too big, and I should have measured it out first. But it's okay, it still worked. So what I did was I covered the ends of the Q-tips with some more latex and some more cotton to kind of meaty up, put some more meat on those bones. So I covered up the ends of those Q-tips with some more latex and some more cotton to make it look like they were coming out of my skin, they were coming out of my flesh. And again, I layered those up. I don't remember how many times I layered those, but it was quite a bit. So you gotta just be patient with that, guys. And now I'm just gonna color it in. I took my Kryolan bruise wheel and I started with the dark red, and I colored that in as the base first. And I just filled in all the fleshy part with that red color. Now I'm going to take a piece of my sponge, and here's a fun trick, guys. When you need to make a little bit of bruise, or some, you need a little bit of less color pigment, or you need to spread out your color a little bit, I'm going to take the same red from my bruise wheel, and I'm just going to spread it out here on my mixing plate. And then I'm going to use 91% isopropyl alcohol that I just got from the drugstore or from the dollar store. You can find it anywhere. And I'm going to douse my sponge in this alcohol. And what this does, guys, is it kind of spreads out the color a little bit more, and you can use this to kind of make your bruises or your wounds look a little bit more decayed or infected or anything like that. And it's a really neat color effect, guys. You should try it. So here I'm using the same technique with the sponge and the alcohol, but I'm using a little bit less alcohol because that's going to give me a little bit more color pigmentation. And I'm using the green and the yellow color, and that's just going to give me a little bit more decay, a little bit more infected look. And I'm putting this around the outside of the wound, around my knuckles and around my wrist. I'm spreading that all around and pressing it in. And then I'm going to take my fresh scratch from Creolon, and this is a more gelatin consistency blood, and I'm going to press this into the inside of the wound to make it look a little bit more deep, a little bit more like I have a deep wound. So I'm taking my sponge here and I'm just kind of spreading out some blood on the outside. Just taking a scouring sponge and just kind of making some scratches around the outside, some splatters. Now I'm going to take a more runny blood and I'm going to put that in between the tendons. Just kind of let it run around. Move my hand around and let it drip. I ended up taking a brighter red blood gel because I needed some more dimension in the blood. I didn't like it all being dark. I needed something a little bit brighter to make it look a little bit fresher. When you use all one color blood, to me it just doesn't look real. And then I felt that the middle part just didn't look meaty enough to me. I needed some more flesh in there. So I ended up taking some more pieces of cotton and I just kind of stuck it in there with all the blood gel. It adhered perfectly, so I just stuck some more cotton in there. And then with a little bit more of the blood gel, I just layered it over on top. And and it stuck perfectly. So I just made sure that everything was covered. The tendons were covered, and everything inside was covered, and it looked awesome. It looked perfect. And that is pretty much what I meant about covering up the tendons with blood at the end. But you know what, I think it looks better that way. I mean, if you had cut up your hand and left all the bones showing, I think that's what it would look like. Well, that is pretty much the end of the look, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was easy to follow. And if you do try it, please post some pictures, guys. I would love to see what you guys try out. And if you guys have any other requests, just post them down below. I would love to try out new looks for you guys. I hope you guys have a fun and safe Halloween. If you guys go trick-or-treating, please be safe. If you guys take your kids out, please be safe with them. But overall have a fun and safe Halloween. I hope to see you guys soon, okay? Take care. Bye.